Okay, so we're back. So, with June being the month of mental health awareness,
I have to stop. Is it June or July?
June, June.
Oh, June was mental.
Well, anyhow, we're feeling June, guys. You heard that, But the thing is, something that came to my mind. Do you think the expectation that society have of who a man should be has an impact on the identity of each and every man out there?
Oh, that's a very interesting way to bring it. An interesting topic. Identity of who a man should be, and the impact it has on the culture, and how we conduct ourselves. I think one thing I'll comment first, I have to acknowledge, is that we had made strides in attacking this topic collectively. Like that, I would definitely give an applause to all of us when it comes to talking about toxic masculinity and the identity of manhood. Culture has evolved, work has evolved, the expectations of what a man needs to do have also kind of like changed, right? You have the rise of feminism as well, that challenged the status quo. And I know that in doing so also there was a lag in terms of like with men, like finding a place where they fit, where they need. If there's one thing I'll comment on, there's a primal desire in a man to feel needed, not wanted, needed.
Correct.
And I used to think this is a myth till I got into a place where, one, I felt needed and I showed up as my best self, and when that feeling left, when everything that I thought I'd do my best of abilities, I lost a sense of purpose, and in that I lost a sense of identity, because it's like, okay, now what do I do, type thing. So definitely the identity of what does it mean to be a man is not something that you can just give an answer to, because that varies. I don't know, what's your take on that?
Well, I think about the first thing that we've been exposed to growing up, especially in the African culture, which is a man shouldn't cry.
Yes, that's the
and I feel like that has shaped, if not 100%, 99.99% of all African men.
Yes,
and that particularly was a very toxic habit that we all learned from our fathers and forefathers, and that we kind of like had to deal with when we gain a certain awareness of of who we are. Who I am as a man is not necessarily who society says I should be as a man. I'm saying that to say this, for example, if I'm going through something, okay, or if I'm hurt and I feel like crying, right, with the awareness that I have today based on mental health awareness campaigns and stuff, I know that it's okay to lash out. It's okay to let that emotion out. As opposed to the values that I got when I was raised, and the society expectation of what a man should be, which is you should not show emotion because that makes you weak.
Yes.
And we are going back to toxic masculinity.
Yes.
And I feel like by doing so, our society created more machos than actual, responsible men. Because again, if you ask me what is a man, I would say being a man is being your own person to begin with. It shouldn't be attached to the feeling of being needed. You don't need to be needed for you to feel like a man.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then something has gone wrong, and that's something that needs attention. Personally, I grew up in I remember as a kid, I was constantly being told that you are too weak. A man should be strong. You should be able to carry this. You should be able to do this and that. and that made me question myself. It made me at some point feel as if there was something wrong with me. Maybe I wasn't more of a man,
Yes.
and I wasn't fitting in what people thought a man should be.
Mm.
And that in itself is a trauma because you carry that around and then you start thinking that there's something wrong with you.
Yes.
Meanwhile, you just being your own person. Some men are weak and some men are strong. Some men are tall, some men are short. Again, it doesn't have to be one standard way, and this is something that society has. And that's why I believe that society's expectation actually, messed up many men's life out there.
Yes.
There are many men who are struggling with things they don't even know how to open up because the environment and the way they were brought up, they taught them not to open up, and now they don't even know how to speak. Many married men are there, they can't even open up to their wives to talk about something that they may be going through.
Yes.
There is this guy recently, I think a few months back, on Instagram, an American guy. I can't remember his name, frankly. But the guy used to post videos and content where he was super happy with his wife and everything and stuff like that. And then one day he took his life. He just took his life. And people were shocked, like, what happened? But he seemed like a happy person.
Yeah.
And we have more of this happening these days. The societal rates amongst men is higher than women.
It's,
and that's because we carry so much baggage on our shoulders, and not saying that our parents and forefathers are to blame, because I think they didn't know any better. But to all men out there today, I encourage you to know that you can do better. The information the information is available. Use that. Snap out of it, like they say. There is no point to remain attached, or continue to serve a certain concept of what a man should be. If it's hurting you, it makes no actual sense.
And that topic of like suicide rates amongst men, it's something that really makes me emotional a lot, and drives that need for spaces, to open up more spaces for men to be able to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
To tell them it's okay to talk about your feelings. It's not a sign of weakness. It's really hard when you see someone who's happy seemingly, and just wake up one day and take their life away. And the thing is, those are the conversations that could have been had. We'd never get to have them. We'll never know what got them to there. And it's not just one isolated event. It happens everywhere, and it's the pressures of like, let's say, where this is what a man is, and if you feel internally, if you feel within your core soul that you're not it, no matter how much anyone can affirm you, even your wife can tell you, oh no, you're my man, you're this, and they affirm all that greatness. As long as within your core you don't grasp it, imposter syndrome will always come knocking at the door, and you always feel that sense of lack. And that's why, in as much as we want to make it like, okay, society's doing this, I think first it's always important. One thing that defines as a man is to take responsibility for yourself.
Yeah.
Like I said in the beginning, there was personally a need of wanting to be needed, external validation from everyone else. Then I noticed that's me giving away the responsibility of who I am to other people whom I do not have control over, especially now that we are connected.
Yeah.
So everyone's opinions of what a man should be, like you go on Twitter, there's like, Indo that must have a car at this age, and if I let that get to me, if I allow that, right, if I don't take responsibility over my own identity, then that will get to me mentally. I might brush it off, but it sticks in me, and it starts reaffirming itself slowly that I am not a man enough, I'm not a man enough, and from that's where all these toxic traits then start to come. And it's sad that we are at a point where no longer needs to say toxic masculinity. You can just say masculinity and everyone will associate that with toxicity.
Yeah.
You know, and that really shows you how much like we don't have good figures, good connotations of manhood. It shows you that there's so much work that
needs to be done.
We need to do.
Yeah.
There's so much responsibility that we need to take back and say, okay, no, let's actually tackle these things amongst ourselves, amongst communities, in our homes, even on social media, and we need men to engage that. I make content that's geared towards building sacred masculinity. That's what I started calling it. What I've actually noticed in terms of audience, most of the audience is actually women more than it is the men is geared to. And obviously understanding algorithms again, it's feeding us men what's exactly, it's a reflection of what we want to hear.
Yeah.
And the type of the type of content you're served obviously is a reflection of exactly what you want. So that makes it difficult to then collectively spread the message, because if you look at the prominent voices, and this is where I hate bringing him up, that Andrew Tate guy,
yeah,
he was on overdrive masculinity.
Oh yeah.
Speaking, exploiting our in-house desires as men to make it us affirming that, okay, no, you can be a man with these toxic traits, it's okay for this and that. And he played on that for a lot of men. That's why his message was more, okay, let's ride on it, because it promised us, it promised men to become who they aspire to be based off of society's expectations. It also gave them like a release freedom to not be responsible or to actually get the consequences of their toxic actions. That's what I've noticed his content did, and that's appealing because now I don't have to do the inner work.
Yeah.
He justifies everything that's wrong, seemingly wrong with manhood.
Yeah, but I mean, for me, you know, and especially on that particular one, that last line is that he, in a certain way, he validated the cowardness within men, you know, and I feel like many men these days are very coward, you know. And when I say coward, is that being coward in a sense, or in a term where you don't take ownership, okay, of your mixing up, if I can put it that way. I don't want to use the F word, you know, but at the end of the day, many people don't own up to their shit anymore. You know, it's all about, you know what, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to get away with it because I'm a man. You know, and this leads us, I think, into something that has a huge impact on women as well, you know, because this behavior as a man, you know, this type of way of not owning up to what we do and our flaws and everything has a reflection on women as well, because at the end of the day, we are a society. Society is made of men and women, right? I mean, it doesn't matter what you say at the end of the day, if one group isn't owning up to who they are, the other group is not going to do it either, and then it becomes a blame game, you know. I'm throwing the blame there. Oh, you know what, men are like this, so I can do this as well, you know. And it becomes just like everybody just throwing away their responsibility. No one wants to own up to anything anymore now. Everything is okay now, you know. And I feel like this feeling is only weakening people. That's why we have a younger generation these days who is pretty lost in terms of identity. You know, they have no sense of identity whatsoever. Yes, they are aware of mental health and everything and stuff, but in terms of identity, they are struggling with that big time. And that's
people,
because
you can see the craving in how people are looking for identity in different places.
Correct.
And yeah, it's sad.
That's just sad.